This like literally shows how much everybody is a damn rapist. I told you this problem has to be like a million times worse than what we first thought. Because I was like looking at our ancestry thing, and I go, I swear to God, they're like all rapists and child raping and doing all kinds of crap just in the not the very far history either. And they put this thing up. They're like, DNA tests like 23andMe and Ancestry are laying bare the frightening extent of incest in the US. Yes, they're all been raped, dude. I said they all been raped. Everybody's been raped up in here. Incest is disgusting. I feel really bad for any victim of this, but apparently this has been so common. And I said there's these creepy videos even on YouTube where they're like, we spent the whole time sleeping in the same bed with their son until he turned 18. And I'm like, I'm gonna barf. These women, they're insane. I was like, I cannot tell you how bad that is, like on many levels. Anyway, so they go previous estimates put children born of incest at 1 million, but it's really 1 in 7,000. Babies born of incest are prone to birth defects, heart problems, cyst fibrosis, and all this stuff. Well, is autism part of it? Like, I have a lot of questions because I go, they keep checking people and they're like, we don't know what's wrong with them. We don't know how it's coming about. I go, dude, these people are like birthing with each other. Like, they're having kids and then they're raping their kids and then their kids are having kids and they're marrying cousins and forcing cousins and things in Mormonville over there. And just, oh my God, it's so awful. I go, this explains why, like, maybe some areas have like some really low, like, I'm like, what's the word? Intelligence, something to do with that. Like, maybe it is totally part of the gene pool there. Okay, so DNA tests that arrive in the mail, including Ancestry, DNA, and 23andMe, are exposing the uncomfortable extent of incest in the U.S. The tests, which run for about $100, can't say explicitly whether someone is the product of incest, but the results can be taken to a third-party genetic testing firm, which can. One person who found out the disturbing truth about her family was 39-year-old Victoria Hill, who was at a high school reunion, got chatting about family tree with an ex-boyfriend with whom she was once intimate. His family makeup was similar to hers, and upon talking to her, took the same test. A test sent to her confirmed what they had feared, simply saying, "You're my sister." No! Like, there's been people, oh my God, you guys, do you guys know that, like, you look at some of these people's pictures and I go, they look exactly the same. They look like they're like literally twins. And I'm thinking maybe they are, maybe they're actual cousins and they just don't say anything. Like, they just show it in the media or, you know, put these pictures up. And I'm like, they look too much alike, like way too much alike. Like, I would feel like I'm just being with myself, you know, I don't know, something weird. But he goes, he radiated anger at the thought of the origins of his conception, likely result of sexual assault of his mother carried out by his grandfather. They're rapists. I said they're all rapists. I go, there's a lot of indicators. This right here was one of them. Because of my uncle. I was like, why are all these kids coming to me? And they're like, we're related. I'm like, who the hell are you? Yeah. He went out and, oh goodness. So yeah, they showed that family thing. That whole thing is messed up, dude. Incestual family relationships have garnered increased public interest after the 2004 documentary, as well as exclusively Daily Mail reported about America's most inbred family, the Whitakers. And so the white male supremacists want to force babies, and so they want to force this genetic disaster. Okay, this is a hot mess. This is really bad for them on top of it. Okay, so that is like middle America that votes for okay, so the prevalence of incest in the U.S. is far more common than previously thought. With research, including common genealogy tests, put the rate at 1 in 7,000. Okay, Dr. Jim Wilson from the University of Edinburgh, who conducted that research, said, that's way, way more than I think many people would ever imagine. Well, it's telling you how many rapists are out here. Y'all rapists. I told you. I go, there's just going to be all these indicators and showing, and then everybody's a goddamn piece of shit bully. But It's a far cry from the 1975 estimate in the psychiatric textbook, putting the rate at about 1 in a million. Who's this stupid? The men. The men. See, you don't let women up in here, dude. The men are dumb as shit. And you know another statistic that they're wrong about is the LGBTQ, because they're the actual norm. If they're the norm, then the rest of y'all are a hot mess in line and doing all kinds of shit and everything else. So DNA tests that arrive in the 2%. Yeah, my ass. Okay, DNA tests have arrived in the mail, including Ancestry. Okay, they could be helpful tools in determining whether someone has genetic predispositions for certain conditions. Still, they occasionally learn the disturbing truth about their parentage. Okay, babies born of incest are increased risk of suffering, birth defects, developmental delay, and genetic disorders such as blindness, hearing loss, neonatal diabetes, and limb malformations. Can somebody explain the Bible thing where apparently they just all had sex with each other and their family? I mean, to populate the globe with each other. Okay, from two people. We would be all a genetic, well, I think we all are a genetic disaster, but okay, so the risk of two siblings or parent and child having a baby are manifold. When two closely related people have sex and the female becomes pregnant, and there is an increased risk of recessive gene disorders. This is because children receive one copy of genes from each parent with the harmful genetic mutations known as recessive genes being overridden by dominant genes. When related individuals get pregnant, they decrease genetic variations, and the recessive gene they have may combine to become dominant in their children, causing many types of congenital disabilities. In cases of incestual relationship, genetic variations from two parents decrease, and recessive genes may combine to become dominant in the child, resulting in a higher risk of range disorders, including low IQ, cleft palate, heart conditions, cystic fibrosis, and infant death. People born of incest may feel like they cannot reproduce for the fear of giving birth to a baby with life-threatening genetic abnormalities. Okay, anomalies. One such person is 64-year-old Teresa. She found out in 1985 that her father was her mother's brother. It was only when I was walking the streets afterwards in a daze that it hit me. I could never be a mom. There was no way I could risk having a damaged baby. I would have to give up the one thing I wanted most in the world. Okay, Steve, meanwhile, was born with a heart murmur that required 2 surgeries when he was a teen, a possible product of 2 sets of the same gene and mutations through he and his wife, Michelle, who helped him on a search for the truth and can't say for sure that his incestual origins were the cause. Steve grew up in a foster home and was always curious about his biological family. He took the Ancestry test as part of the quest to track down his birth mom, who had given him up shortly after giving birth when she was 14. That's sad. So he's a rape baby on top of it, and by such and such. Okay, so he also enlisted the help of C.C. Moore, who specialized in locating people using distant DNA matches, a method that led to the imprisonment of the Golden State Killer. Since working with Steve's case, Miss Moore now knows of well over 1,000 additional cases of people born from incest. Yeah, so the whole Christian, because this is a Christian male supremacist ideology, wants to populate the globe with a bunch of genetic mishaps. Okay. Perfect, dude. And that's exactly who should run the globe, because that's who is running the globe right now. Yep, you're a genetic mishap with your IQ going on like this and being a goddamn rapist. Okay, so most of the cases were between first-degree relatives, while the rest were products of second-degree relatives like half-sibling, uncle, niece, grandparent, grandchild. Steve was able to find a support group online set up by Miss Moore for people in a situation, and the members have complained of a host of issues, including autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, eye problems. However, it is difficult to pin down incest as the cause. Okay, one support group member, Mandy, whose last name was withheld for privacy, found out her father was her mother's uncle. I'm like, okay, so her mother, a cruel woman, was 17 when she gave birth to Mandy while her uncle was in his 30s. Okay, so that sounds like another story like my evil grandma. And she got raped. See, she got raped. She got raped. She was 17 by this 30-year-old pile of crap pedo uncle. Half these women are coming out psychotic, man, because of this shit. Because they keep allowing rape. And then they're treated like shit, right? And then they're forced to have these kids and shit. And then all that. And then they become abusers. Shit, okay, because it says a cruel woman. She wasn't a woman at 17. She was a kid. Her mother treated her worse than her younger brothers, and Mandy now understands that to be the reason behind her mother's cruelty. Yes, but the situation still makes her uneasy. Yes. Sociopathy from so much abuse. That's what I was talking about. I go, there's so much abuse, and there's a lot of abuse to come out of somebody towards somebody that comes out like that. Because even if that happened to me, I'm not out abusing other people's kids or whatnot. So it's a crapshoot. You just don't know. But they were really terrible to women throughout history, and they don't take responsibility for it, and they're forcing these babies now, and they're rapists. They're all rapists. They're all rapists. And there's proof. There's documented proof. They're all fucking rapists. So typically, if somebody wants to test for possible incestuous relationships, they have to upload their genetic material to a third-party service. It's not something that Ancestry, DNA, and 23andMe disclosed to customers. Where? I want to send that shit in. Okay, the third-party test looked for run of homozygosity, or ROH for short. The genomes of children born of incest show an absence of heterozygosity, I don't know that damn word, which explains why their DNA contains big chunks that show the father and mother's genetic contributions are identical because they themselves share much of the gene code. DNA tests mailed out by major companies have uncovered other troubling family secrets that have thrown people's lives into a tailspin. In Connecticut, Miss Hill said she was left traumatized after realizing she had unknowingly committed incest with her high school boyfriend. But she told CNN she only found out the man she'd grown up thinking was her dad was not her biological father after taking the home DNA test. Miss Hill said, I'll just put it out there. I was intimate with my half-brother. No. I was traumatized by this. Now I'm looking at pictures of people thinking, well, if he could be my sibling, anybody could be my sibling. Yeah, I try to, if anybody reminds me of my brother, I'm not attracted. I don't know, but I hope that never happens. What could happen is my uncle's was raping everybody up in here, and there was all these kids that came out of it, and then I could end up being with one of his spawn out here, and then find out oh, we're kind of related because you're a kid of my uncle. That's disgusting, but that could happen. So I was like, no. Stay away from all the people up in NoCal. Okay, so in Denver, influencer and realtor Selena decided to take the DNA test in 2016 and revealed that she and her husband had a genetic match of 62 a unit. No. I was in shock. I was a little depressed over it, to be honest, but this was after we had already had 3 kids and all of them were healthy. They have 10 fingers, 10 toes, but it was just a shock. Yeah, but I don't care about the fingers and the toes. I care about what's in the brain, man, because holy crap. Okay, ancestral relationship. That thing right there, it would have to end. I feel bad for you. Okay, so we almost should have this test before you get married, but getting married is a whole other thing. Ancestral relationships have received increased interest and attention in recent years, in part thanks to the 2004, documentary thing. When visiting, the family was welcomed by several members, including Ray, who can only communicate via barks and grunts, who insisted on showing reporters around the property. Why is this going on? Okay, currently living in a dissipated homestead are siblings Ray, Barry, and all them. All of them is struggling with heartbreaking mental and physical conditions. Ray appeared to suffer the most and excitedly communicated through noises, pointing to show items at their home like in a childlike manner. The siblings are the descendants of two sets of first cousins who got married, and previously revealed that the bloodline continued with a set of identical twin brothers whose children got married. They were born in 1897. It was a rape fest up in here, and probably with children. John went on to marry his first cousin, and then, okay, the sister and all that. Okay, so Gracie and John were first cousins, but married in November 1935 and had their first child in 1937, having 15 in total. Many members of the family have suffered from a heart attack, while two did not make it through the infancy, and some of the 15 children died early of an array of illnesses, including heart attack, cancer, believed to be tied to inbreeding. No. God, there's a lot of comments on this already. My mother doesn't know who her father is. My granny had her when she was 19 and refused to reveal the identity of the father, and I've long suspected a family member. I know, there's a whole thing in our thing, but I think there's actually another guy, but he's a total child predator. I thought it was maybe my grandmother's father. I don't know, but there's somebody popped up to make it not be so. So I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? She disappeared. What if, I don't know, she looked at who her father is. I mean, we have a name of that guy. I don't know. That went somewhere else. And I was saying, they're horrible, dude. Why is anybody wanting to find out who these people are? They're monsters. The parents on my dad's mom's side. These tests have dug up skeletons that have been buried for years. The secrets that people took to the graves are now being made public. Be prepared what you might find before you take the test. Okay, yeah, so we had that thing, and then you get to see all the white people that raped all the, like, Indians and raped the people of color, because then we have them in our family line, in our, way down the line. And then I guess, we're Jewish, somewhere. I don't know. I think it's only like, I don't know if it's like one person, or I don't even understand like half the stuff I found. They kept updating it, and they're like, oh, Ireland. I was like, oh God, I have people that call themselves Lord in my family line. Yeah, like something about that. That's totally from my hillbilly Italian grandmother's husband, who is like the only guy that was from, I think he was originally from America. I think like he's the only one. And so he has a mix of a lot of weird things that the other family line has, like they're Italian, Portuguese, everywhere from over there. I was born in the 70s, and I remember my mom talking about her and her dad getting blood tests done before marriage. That was a check for STDs. I don't know. I remember them saying that, and I go, ooh, I'm not getting married then. I was so anti-blood tests as a kid because I kept blacking out. And I was like, that will get me to never marry anybody. I have to do a blood. I have to do a blood test? What are you talking about? And that was before, all the other disease things came up, but they said you have to do a blood test, and they said to check for wasn't it for like health things or something? Oh, was it for that? Because maybe I'm dumb and I don't remember, because I was like really little. It had to be when I was like maybe 6 or something. And my mom brings this up. I go, blood tests. I'm not getting married. Like, no, I wasn't anti-marriage, but at the time I was like, I don't want to get married if you have to do a blood test. Why do you have to do a blood test? I'm going to get around the blood test. I was like, Yeah, check for syphilis. Yeah, okay, so I was like, yeah, they were checking for STDs. That's what I thought. It was done for the Rh factor in the blood. I was told for STDs. I believed because that's what I associate it with. It was done for Rh factor in the blood. I think they were honestly checking everybody for STDs and they were lying to everybody. Okay, so let's just move on. Government's a pile of shit. They're a bunch of rapists and they lie and they make you do things that you shouldn't do, and then you find out it wasn't for what they said. We're doing it to help you guys, and then it's some bullshit that like literally is harmful. Oh my god, so weird you guys brought that up because I remember that and I was like, I thought they still do it because I've never got married, so I don't know what they do now. Oh my god. We're not getting married because I'm not doing a blood test. No, I have to. Wait, I imagine it was even worse back in the past when no one ever lived more than 5 miles away from where they were born. No. But they're all rapists. That's the addition. It's not just because they're family, but they're rapists. I was saying, I go, Florida. Okay, so they're all pedo rapists up in here, right? And mostly in the 1800s. Oh, hell no. Florida's in there asking to put them all to death. I go, your entire family line's going straight into the gas chamber. Straight up into the gas chamber. Are we against that? I was like, are we? I don't know. Maybe I should be mad at this. No, but that's what they were asking. And I'm like, do you guys understand that I believe this problem is way worse than they're saying? I go, it was so weird that when the Mackenzie thing came up, I was like, oh my God, you think it's like so rare because literally no one talks about it. And it has to do with the way that we view in society sexual assault. That's like kind of number one in that thing. And the indoctrination of us is to take it, and obviously no kid consented. They were spewing that crap out. I think I don't know if they still spew that crap out, but they don't understand the concept of this. And all those kids over there came out a hot mess. Now, is it their fault originally? Hell no. But that's their environment, and their environment was so bad. You have a sociopath in there. You got this one getting raped by dad. You got, this thing there. And that's what we're talking about. And I go, that was like the first time I ever heard that, though, I think, when they came out with that story. And I was like, I cannot imagine this crap, like you're going on. Over the years, as I'm pulling, like I said, there's something that you have to pay attention to, the childhood portion. As someone pointed out here also in the story, is that grandma got raped and grandma became evil. And then it's because massive child abuse. Massive child abuse. She got raped. And it's not a myth that some of them come out to be monsters. That's the actual fact. It's just, I don't know what is determining the monster to the non-monster, and the only thing I can associate right now, I don't know. I can't really answer it at this moment, because I can have a bunch of suspicion, while some of them think it's normal and they enjoy it. This thing, because it's something that happens during abuses, and then they're kind of like dumb, I guess, and think it's normal, and then they continue on, and they're just really bad people because the environment didn't teach them to be good humans, like, to not harm other people, because in their home life it's just harm, and this is how we live, harm each other. It's kind of like that thing. And so the only way to really jump into that is as soon as possible when they're younger. And then as far as IQ goes, I don't know all the determining factors to IQ. It could just be the parents are just dumb and I don't know. I can't answer all those things, but I guess that's part of, like, if you're part of incest as well. I think a lot of people do, though. I was like, I think a lot of people do, though. I'm not even talking about being some brilliant person, but holy crap. There's things that, like the story in the Mormon one, where they're like, I guess we'll just teach my daughter this, the mom. But the dad is not stupid. The dad is a predator. And he's just, I mean, I wouldn't call him smart. He's just a predator. And the mom is just so dumb and then partakes in it like, oh, I'm like, I don't know. But that thing over there is a hot mess. Oh, okay, yeah. So I knew there was more going on because when I was going through the stories, I started pulling up all these stories with all of the incestuous things going on. Like they were being sexually abused by actual family members. And the more I was going through this, I started pulling out other celebrities. Like there was other celebrities, I guess, that had popped up, oh, this has happened to me in the past, at home, somebody in the family. And then it started connecting. Like you start seeing this thing, you'll see a pattern of something and you're like, oh yeah. And then when you start looking at that, then oh, okay, yeah. So some of these monsters are coming out like that because of the early thing. Oh yeah, and Ellen DeGeneres' ex that passed away, right? That one. So those things happened over there. And then so when you're looking at that, the total picture, you start saying, oh yeah, they were all sexually abused. Now, are they all being sexually abused by their parents? Well, if you look at the way that they punished kids back then, they definitely were sexually abused. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's one part. And then them not understanding that those things are sexual abuse. So that's something else. So technically, they were all sexually abused in some which way, shape, or form by their family. To what extent, some worse than others, and then they were passing this down the family line, right? So now we're here today, and they're still doing that shit, and you have to jump in and correct, this major problem. The rapists still want to force babies. This is the worst thing you could ever fucking do, is throw your fucking religion bullshit into government and start raping women even more in the background, because women are going to get pissed. And so also because you're going to have a genetic massive problem out here. And, but I think that those people are the genetic problem to sit there and go on like that. But being a sociopath has nothing to do with that. You don't come out, being a pile of crap from incest, okay? But it could affect how smart you are, right? Like you give somebody some information and they don't take it in properly. That would be the only addition to somebody being that pile of shit. They just can't take in education of any sort, I mean, something like that. But it wouldn't sit there and teach them, be a pile of crap to all women and rape them all and do all this shit. That's some other behavior that's from in the environment.